Great. Calling the September 22nd Budget Advisory Committee meeting to order. Let's see here. What's my job here? I'll call the roll. Do I do this or do you, Jenny?
Well, we can start with the board or the BAC members first, and then we can ask council members to weigh in, and then we'll finish off with staff.
Thank you. It's my
You're welcome.
Doing this part. So Chelsea Needcamp, chair, is present.
Suzanne Dirksen.
Joel Moore, present.
We can't hear you, Steve.
Steve Ward, still Steve Ward.
Excellent. And then I see Mayor Pro Tem Sierra.
I'm here. Daniel Sierra. Thank you, Jenny.
Thank you. And then Jenny Nolan is here. Maria, if you've said that you're here, we can't hear you.
I apologize. This is Maria Sabata, the Director of Finance. I'm here.
Perfect. Thank you. And then Tim.
Hey, sorry, I was having some problems with my camera.
Okay,
so I was on the phone with the IT help desk at the last moment. It was, for whatever reason, my laptop's in the docking station, but it wasn't recognizing the monitor. So, so I have to go off my laptop. So I apologize for that confusion.
No worries. We're just doing the roll for the recording. So just state your name and say that you're here.
Tim Dodd. Assistant to the city manager, City of Englewood.
All right, we can move to approve the minutes from our August 25th meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes.
A second.
I will second.
And it's all approved. I think that's all housekeeping, right, Jenny?
Pardon?
I think that's all of our housekeeping, right?
That's it. Yep. And
Did we actually vote on the minutes, or were they just moved and seconded?
Pardon? Oh, I don't
Yeah,
believe we had a. Yeah, we didn't have a vote. You're right.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. See, I told you guys. This is my second time. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the August 25th meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Thank you, Steve. All right, we just waiting for our city manager, Lewis, which is our new business.
And in the meantime, I can briefly go over the information that I provided you all.
He also just joined as well. So.
Oh, great. Oh, perfect. 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 I don't have to do a song and dance then.
Would love to see it, but
You're so kind, Joel.
Just waiting on the screen share.
Can everybody see the presentation on the screen?
I can see it.
I can't. It says can't display content.
Joel cannot see it.
Can't either.
I can see it. This is Shawn.
It is also
too.
attached to the agenda as a PDF if you guys would like to follow along that way as well.
Can we maybe stop share and then try to reshare?
We could do that. It's a
Or
good
have
idea.
Tim share it?
It's just the Government Finance Officers Association PDF that we're
No,
looking
it
at.
will be the one for the city or the administration department presentation.
I can go ahead and try to share it again now.
And if you'd like, Tim, I could also try sharing,
Okay.
but I'll let you go first.
All right. I'll try first. All right. It should be up now.
I can see it.
Me too.
Chelsea, Joel.
Still not
Is there
working for
some
me, but
strange
I'm
place I should be looking, or does it come up in a? I'm not familiar with Teams, but I don't see where there's a second window.
Yeah, mine is spinning.
Yeah.
mine just, it comes up like the screen share. There's the black box, but it says can't display the content. There was a problem displaying, but I can follow along on my phone on the agenda.
It's actually not displaying for me now either. It's just a white screen.
Huh.
Jenny, can maybe you
Yeah,
try?
let me try. Can everyone see that?
I got that.
Yes.
And yes, I can.
One.
If you cannot see it, speak up, please. Okay, I think we can start then.
Wonderful.
Great. So I guess we can get started. Jenny, sorry about that. Would you mind advancing the slides?
That's okay. You just let me know when I need to advance.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I greatly, I don't know if it's tied to the slide issue, but my at work at my desk, and for whatever reason, my camera is not working. So I'm using my laptop. So I'm not sure if that's what caused the issue, but I apologize. But my name is Tim Dodd. I'm the assistant to the city manager. So I think City Manager Lewis is on the call tonight as well, but we have a presentation that I'm going to walk through. And so I'm very happy to be here tonight. Really appreciate the opportunity. And really, the purpose of this presentation is really to meet your requests. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time kind of going over who we are as a department, what we do, what our budget looks like, then also talking about some constraints to the budget, and also talking about some what we're calling kind of wish list items for the future. So yeah, thank you, Jenny. So this is the agenda of topics that I'm going to be going over this evening. So who are we? So this is a mission statement that the city manager's office has. It's in it's in the budget as well. But really, the city manager's office really coordinates the work of the city. We have some programs and some things that we oversee, but primarily our role really is one of coordination to meet some high-level goals, such as ensuring that Inglewood has a high quality of life and economic vitality.
Oops, sorry.
So we can go, yeah, it's okay. We can move to the next one. Yeah, so this is relatively new that we are being called city administration. So within city administration, there are two divisions. One is the city manager's office and one is the city clerk's office. So this organizational chart basically shows you the structure of the office now. So on the city clerk side, our city clerk is Stephanie Carlisle, and she has 3 direct reports, 2 deputy city clerks, and as well as a records management coordinator. In the city manager's division, reporting to Shawn, we have an assistant, executive assistant, Krista. And then reporting to me, we have 2 part-time customer experience assistants, One, Nina Quinones, has been with the city since February. And then we actually just are in the process. We made an offer to someone and they start next week for the second position that was vacant. We're very excited about that. Both Nina's position and the other position that we're just filling now are both part-time. And in a few minutes, I'll go through the customer experience program in a little bit more detail. So what do we do on the city manager's office side? So in the city manager's office division. So again, we really play a coordinating role. So we do oversee most city departments do report into Shawn. We also help coordinate city council, our council staff relations, strategic planning, which is a big part of my job, is something that we oversee and coordinate across the organization. Regional partnerships, so participating in DRCOG, which is the Denver Regional Council of Governments, connecting with Arapahoe County, meeting monthly with other cities in the South Metro area are all things that our office does. We coordinate some big interdepartmental projects that I'll also be going over a little bit later. And then we also coordinate customer service, and that's what we're calling the hub. That's our customer experience program. So the city clerk's office division, they serve as the clerk to city council. They're the contact point for all public document inquiries. They coordinate municipal elections, sometimes coordinated with the county. They do agenda management for meetings. They do all licensing for liquor and marijuana licenses. They oversee records management for the city. That's something we'll be delving into a little bit later in the presentation. And they also coordinate board and commissions. So looking at the 2020 budget, we had some sizable achievements in the last year that we're ending in a few months. One is the establishment of the customer experience program. So this is something that was kind of the vision of the deputy city manager, Dorothy Hargrove, who retired, was to basically have someone at the Civic Center on the 3rd floor that could help with security, but could also help be a guidepost for residents and community members who are coming into the Civic Center with questions. They also oversee the main phone number for the Civic Center, and they're also getting more engaged in using our Q Alert system, which is an app that we have where customers and citizens can report quality of life issues, and also working with me to update frequently asked questions and help troubleshoot questions and things as they come in from citizens. We established a records management program that's in the city clerk's office division. So we hired a records management coordinator during 2020. We want to bring it to the next level in the next fiscal year. So we do have a capital request for a records management system that we'll be talking about later. We created, so the council adopted a citywide strategic plan this summer. And this office is playing a role in coordinating those efforts across the departments to be able to come to council with proposed modifications, as well as reports, building a dashboard to share with the community how well we're doing in these areas and whether we're on track. That's something I'll talk about later as well. And then, of course, a major and these aren't in order of importance, they're just in a random order. But of course, the amount of time that we have spent responding to COVID-19, and obviously something that municipalities across the world are dealing with, but something that we've invested a considerable time and effort and energy into, has been a major achievement and a major part of the focus of this office during this current year. So there have been actually some relatively large, I guess I would say, changes to the city administration budget during this year. So first I'll talk about the things that went out, and then I'll talk about the things that came in. So the fire marshal's office moved into the police department. Neighborhood services, which is kind of a one person shop right now, they moved into communications department, and then the wayfinding program moved to public works. As I mentioned, the customer experience program did move to us. It's a relatively new program. It really only started this winter, and it started in Parks, Recreation, and Library, and then it moved to us officially this month. And then records management was a brand new position, as I discussed, that was established in the city clerk's office. So then looking at the 2021 budget requests, so these next three slides are things that you obviously have seen. They're in the budget themselves. So this just provides you an overview of our budget for the next year, a total amount. As you can see, our budget request overall as a department has actually gone down slightly. And basically that's related to a few things. It's related to the retirement of the deputy city manager, and then the my position, which is a little bit different in the pay scale, the assistant to the city manager. It's also related to moving the things that I talked about that were moved out, such as neighborhoods and wayfinding. If you can go to the next slide. So this shows our division, the city manager's office division. There was, again, a sizable decrease, and that, again, is related to the things that I just mentioned. And then we do see a slight increase in a request for the city clerk's office, and that's related to the request for the records management system that, again, I'll get into in a few minutes. But overall, it's still in the department, it's still a net decrease. So these are our 2021 priorities. So with the customer service experience program, we're not looking for any additional funding, but we are looking, as again, it's a really new program. We're looking to build it out. Our goal is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday coverage. Again, continuing to really develop it as a frontline customer resource with procedures, a frequently asked questions document, and then also really trying to do more data collection about what we're calling the hub in terms of tracking customer data to help us inform decisions. Are we seeing requests for a variety of things that maybe we could put more information on the website or shift where it is, or could we use that data to inform how we're answering questions? So we really want it to be a data collection hub as well. The records management program, of the four things on this sheet, it is the only new request that we do have in terms of extra money. And that, again, is for the purchase and implementation of a records management system. The strategic plan right now is a definite priority of ours going into 2021. Again, right now, there are no additional requests financially related to it. But in the next year, we are going to be implementing really, and this will be, honestly, some of this is going to start actually in 2020 and really implemented in early 2021, but the implementation of a tracking and amendment process to be able to make modifications to the plan going forward. And then we also do coordinate several cross-departmental priorities. Two of the big ones that we're working on are homelessness. It's something that our office plays a role in coordinating, again, across the city and also regionally. And then also sustainability. It is in the strategic plan for the city to explore the creation of a sustainability program. So that's also something that we are looking at. So the records management program, again, of the four that were just on that slide, it's the only one that we are requesting money for. So again, the idea of having a records management program is one that already started. So really what we're looking to do is kind of get to the 2.0 level of it. So in FY20, we did hire a records management coordinator. He started, I think, right at the beginning of right before things started to close for COVID. So it's been a few months now. The request is a capital request to be able to purchase a records management system. Currently, we don't really have a coordinated approach. So some departments do records management, some do it in different ways. And so one of the main reasons why we're doing this is that the clerk's office in this position in this program can help have a consistent records retention program across departments. It also makes it a lot easier for us to ensure that we're compliant with state laws as they're related to records management. It'll also provide other efficiencies in terms of staff time, streamlining coordination, and long-term costs. It'll improve government transparency, making records that much more accessible to the public. And then it takes the human error out of the records retention process. So one of the questions you had asked us to prepare is if funding were to decrease, what are some of the things that would be at risk? So this is just an overview of 3 programs we've identified that may be at risk if we were to receive less funding. And I'll go through them individually. So the records management system, again, if we're unable to do this, it would mean a couple things. It would mean that We do have a records management policy that we just recently adopted, so we wouldn't likely be able to meet the requirements in that policy without a system in the long term. We have an organizational goal to be able to modernize records management. Obviously, that would be on the back burner. We would have challenges related to meeting Quora, which is the Colorado Opens records request, as efficiently or effectively as we could if we had a system in place. There's always, from the possibility of a risk management perspective, there's the possibility of liability if things slip through the cracks and if it isn't as consistent as having a system. And then there will be records duplication. Right now, we have different records in different places in the city, both in the cloud, both on the computer, but also on paper. And so that's something that would continue to exist, and it's something that we hope to avoid and reduce by having a system. Strategic plan implementation, if funding were to be reduced from our current requested levels, this is something that might slow down. There's about over 180 projects in this plan. They cut across 7 different areas, everything from sustainability to governance to transportation, local economy and neighborhoods. It would slow down this office's ability, again, with reduced funding, to be able to coordinate those efforts across departments, which is part of our role. And then it could also have an impact on our customer service program, which again is a brand new program. Calling it interchangeably right now, customer service, sometimes customer experience, but sometimes I slip into customer service. I apologize. This slide just shows you kind of the volume. I guess I would say these are just in-person visits. We also do have visits on our calls as well, and then there's requests that come through on the Q Alerts app. So just for half of September, we had 451 visits into the Civic Center, and so this is definitely a program that I think people appreciate. It's something, again, that's really still in the nascent phase that we want to build out, but with reduced funding, it would inhibit the ability for us to continue to move forward with this program. So our wish list, the flip side of that, are what are the things if we had 10% extra, what will we do? And there's 3 things that we identified that we would potentially look at. And I'll go through them. So the first is a dashboard. So you've probably heard the term dashboard in many different ways. The way I think about a dashboard is it's really the visualization of information related to a strategic plan to basically show the community how well we're doing. So this is just a snippet of a dashboard that I built in the city where I worked previously before coming here. We can do, and we are in November, we're going to be launching a very basic dashboard. There really won't be a whole lot past a really fancy looking PowerPoint presentation, but it's kind of not where we want to be eventually, in that number one, the front end won't be as usable for our community members to be able to delve into our successes and look at what we're doing and how we're doing it, and also to engage in different ways in that information. But it will also kind of inhibit our back end, right? Because ultimately with a dashboard, we want it to be as close to real time as possible. And there's a lot of data configuration things that need to happen for it to get to that point. Obviously, with doing something static like in PowerPoint, it's not going to be quite there. It's not going to be there when we launch in November. But dashboard systems, really, we ballparked about 20,000. All bells and whistles ones run about 36. Really low end ones run about 8 or 9. So this is just an approximate, but this is definitely something that we're looking at for the future. Another item, and this is a relatively low budget one, is an internship program. As you know, there's a variety of universities in this area. I myself got into government through an internships that I had in high school and college. In my last employer, I had 5 grad student interns who all went on to work full-time in government. It's obviously a great experience for the student, but it also is a great way of, at a really low cost, helping the city with some special projects. We've identified an internship program could help us in the city manager's office to do a more effective job with tracking government trends and tracking legislation, and also tracking webinars and training opportunities and grant opportunities and things like that. There's obviously a variety of other things an intern could do. But these are some things that we've identified that an intern could be a great asset to the city at a relatively low cost. And the last item is a sustainability program. So I think, as I previously mentioned, one of the cross-departmental items that we're working on this year is basically doing an inventory of what we're already doing, what's in our plan, and also creating a plan that we will probably provide to council sometime in the spring about what a sustainability program could look like. Really, what we have acknowledged is that a sustainability program really means two things. It means having a plan of action, which really would probably be the sustainability portion of our strategic plan, identifying what it is that we want to do in specific areas and how we're going to measure our success in those areas. But then it also does require a level of coordination. There are a variety of different models, many that are far flung, but many that are in our backyard, so to speak. City of Fort Collins is one of, Boulder also is another city in Colorado that have very robust sustainability programs. I was looking the other day, Netherlands, obviously a pretty small city, small town. They're establishing one with a part-time coordinator. So this estimate of $100,000 basically would be probably a part-time coordinator, a intern, and then some kind of seed money and startup fees related to this program. But again, we're still kind of exploring this, but it is something that there may be an ask a formal ask in the next year. But I thought this would be a great opportunity to kind of share that we are being asked right now to kind of explore the creation of a program and roughly kind of what we're thinking in regards to it. So, excuse me, that concludes my presentation. Apologize again about the tech difficulties at the beginning, and of course, we're happy to answer whatever questions you may have.
I have a question. How long is the typical internship?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think there's a variety of models out there, and what we budgeted for, I guess I would say, in the $5,000 really would be probably the equivalent of a summer internship, roughly full time, or the equivalent of one college semester. At my last employer, I would typically hire interns in the spring, and they would work full time in the summer, and then they would work part of the time based on their school schedule during the school year. Obviously, right now with COVID, things are a little bit different with that right now, but basically what we would ask if we had an extra 10% would be for funding for one that would again likely be the equivalent of full-time in the summer or part-time during one semester.
If it was during a semester, would they get college credit? Would it be
so it
study?
actually all depends on the college.
Mm-hmm.
So some colleges would recognize it and some wouldn't. So that would obviously be something that would be ideal for the student, but that's on the college to recognize that for credit purposes.
I see.
I was really interested by your point on the internship as well. Thank you so much for the presentation. It was really helpful. That seems like really exciting and low-hanging fruit, and maybe it's exciting just because I'm a government nerd. I was someone who would have wanted an internship with a city. Have you guys received any interest, do you know, or is it more once you had the program you would be able to solicit the interns? You know what I mean?
Yeah, so we haven't set it up yet in our office, so it's just something that we've been looking at. I do believe at different points the city may have had interns. I don't think they've ever had I think Shawn probably gonna jump in, but so turn it over to you, Shawn.
Oh, sorry, you should finish your point.
No.
I was just going to say we probably get at least one request a quarter for someone wanting to intern with us, and we have typically obviously turned those down.
I had another question. You mentioned the customer experience roles under the city manager's kind of department. It's 2 part-time roles. And I was just curious about the decision to have 2 part-time roles instead of 1 full-time and why that decision is made that way.
Yeah, so this was one that I think I'm not sure exactly when it was decided, but when I started the position here, it looked like it was 2 part-time positions. And so I think maybe some of that was based on maybe one of the people that was offered the job who we've had since February on their schedule and a variety of maybe other considerations. And so right now it is 2 part-time positions. I think certainly it could be looked at in the future about having one full-time. But it sounded like it was for a variety of different reasons, including the schedule requests of the incumbent and some other factors, was decided to be part-time, 2 part-time positions to begin with.
I have another one, but I have to think about how to verbalize this one. You mentioned one of your 2020 achievements was tracking and trending the Q alert system, right, through the web-based app. And Steve, I'm going to loop you into this question because once upon a time, you shared your experience with using the city's app in reporting issues or submitting requests or what have you. I'm trying to figure out if those are one and the same, or if it is truly an improvement from what existed, say, in 2019 or 2018. And the time frame is kind of escaping me. I can't remember how long ago Steve had that experience, but I suppose my question is about the Q alert system, what it looks like and how functional it is.
Yeah, so it's something that we're still delving into. There are a variety. When I actually worked for the state of Massachusetts was when the city of Boston actually was the first city to create their own from scratch in 2009. And so we kind of, working for the state, gave them kind of seed money to spread it across the state. And so saw how that kind of worked in a variety of different municipalities that had, some had a built out back end system, some didn't. And in that time, in those 11 years since Boston built theirs, there's been a variety of other apps on the market. The city has had Q alerts for a few years. I think there have been some discussions about the software and the program itself, but I think the way I brought it up was more in terms of delving into how we could use what we have in an existing capacity to be as effective and efficient as possible. And so part of the role of the customer experience assistants will be to help kind of oversee what's coming in with Q alerts, to help triage, to help make sure that they're going to the right departments. Over time, we're looking to measure kind of how quickly we're able to respond to them. So I guess what I'm kind of talking about really isn't so much focused on the actual program or platform, but more on this is what we have at this time. How can we use it as efficiently and effectively as possible and tie it into our overall customer experience with the phone and entry into the Civic Center?
Thank you.
I know you elaborated a little bit about the customer experience role and program at the beginning of the presentation, including, things like FAQs and ensuring that information is accessible for citizens. But can you provide a little bit more color on the types of issues that citizens can receive help with, or what that role kind of encompasses as far as the types of issues that are resolved?
Yeah, so there's really kind of 2 big buckets. One is actually much bigger than the other in terms of the kinds of calls that we get or visits. The biggest bucket are basically people who know what it is they need to do, and they maybe just need a little help with wayfinding or pointing in the right direction. So really the kinds of things like, I need to pay my bill, I have a question about my utility bill, I need to speak to someone in this department. So that's kind of the largest bucket, is really more of the wayfinding customer service. Then the smaller bucket really are community members, residents who are calling to report an issue. So if someone calls over the phone and it goes into the customer experience assistance phone line, and they say there's a pothole on my street, the person taking the call will enter it into Q alerts for them. Or, they might say, we have this app, you could do it on the app. They're also kind of included in that bucket about kind of concerns. There's sometimes, and we've only really had, I think, maybe about 15 or 20 of those since the program started, but people saying, I'd like to express my concern about this issue, or, I saw that the city's talking about this and I'd like to share my concern with that. Depending on what those are, sometimes they'll go to me, sometimes they will go into the request system, sometimes they'll be sent to a particular department. But really, yeah, the biggest bucket really are kind of like wayfinding type, I kind of need to do this, or I need help with this. How do I go about it? And the smaller bucket really are things like I'd like to express a concern or a challenge that hopefully the city can help me with.
Any other questions?
So regarding those part-time positions, I would suspect that the decision was made to hire part-time employees because those are non-benefited positions. If I had to guess, that's what I would guess.
They are non-benefited positions.
So there's a significant cost savings there, probably at least one other salary in just not paying those benefits.
Okay, should we move on to the next section of our agenda?
This is Shawn. Just wanted to say thanks for giving us the opportunity to present, and thanks, Tim, for your good work on the presentation.
Thank you.
Likewise, thank you.
Thanks.
Right, so much. Right, and then just a note for the recording. My slides ended up not ever working. I don't know if anyone else had that problem, but in case they didn't, I'm glad they're in the agenda. Okay, moving on to the capital reserve policy and the materials that were included, and these really helpful steps. So thank you so much. And kind of the steps that we can take to pursue this, which is incredibly helpful to kind of know after our discussion last month how we move forward. Assuming that everyone has seen this information in the agenda, Steve, this has been something that you've led on consistently for this committee. Do you want to kind of tee off our discussion here and what maybe you think would be the next steps?
So I think I could probably speak to the overarching concern that sprung this as opposed to anything philosophical related to numbers or what we should decide on. And that is that from year to year, we project each year for the budget cycle, project revenues and project expenditures. And there has been a philosophy at play over the past several years that says that our projected expenditures should never exceed our projected revenues. And unfortunately, what happens is it's a lot easier to predict expenditures than it is to predict revenues. And this has resulted in a fortunate problem, which is too much money in the bank, if you ask me. A sizable unplanned for surplus. And the same philosophy that led to the idea that we should never spend more in any given year than we project to take in has led to what I refer to as hoarding, this sort of dragon's egg of cash that I believe should be serving publicly beneficial purposes. So the question is, when we have a surplus in a budget year that we didn't plan for, how do we allocate that in general? Do we just dump it into the general fund, or do we have a structure by which we can predict how much goes into the general fund and perhaps how much should go towards capital projects that otherwise wouldn't be met?
So this is something that has come up for a couple of years in our report, and there was definitely some interest from council and from the city manager on it this year, which is why we have these steps about if we want to take it further, which would be creating the policy, scheduling the study session. Those are all laid out. And so I think the question for us now is this something that we want to do and move forward with and take on? And starting that process. Would love feedback from the committee of next steps and what we think.
So I say yes. Obviously, my vote is already well on the record. But I think having a plan for years when we have a surplus and having a plan for years when we have a deficit is an important part of setting fiscal policy. And I don't think that that's in place right now. The policy assumes a fixed amount of money in the bank from year to year. And any deviation from that is a violation of policy. So I don't see any reason why we can't have a policy that adjusts according to the economic conditions.
Suzanne, do you have any thoughts?
Well, I guess my question is, are we trying to amend a current policy or draft a new one?
I mean, it sounds like we're drafting a new one based on the steps that are outlined and provided in the agenda. My thought is, I think it's a topic that we're all very interested in, obviously. But candidly, Steve, my guess is that you would take on a lion's share of the burden on this. And is that something that you're comfortable doing? Because there would be a significant amount of investment in ensuring even the expertise to do this within the guidelines that have been laid out. I'm sure there would obviously be support and, based on our conversation with City Manager Lewis last month, but this would, I think, be a whole nother work stream and we will move forward with it.
Well, in the past, we've done issue briefs, and I think this would lend itself pretty handily to an issue brief. I'm willing to work on that, although my bandwidth is quite limited through November, given what I do for my day job. I really won't have much headspace until December. So if that's acceptable to everyone, we can either table the issue through probably January, or I can continue to noodle on it and see if I can come up with some notes that maybe we can agree on a path forward.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me too. I think I'm not aware if we're under any specific deadline for this. As far as when the policy would go into effect and how it would impact budgets. It's like the budgeting cycle. I don't have enough of a grasp on that timeline on top of my head.
Well, because it wouldn't impact FY21.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So I see no risk in, looking at this in January.
Great.
Yeah.
We'll pick it back up in January and noodle until then.
A lot stewing around in the cauldron right now.
There's a few BAC reports from the last couple of years we can pull from. Okay, wonderful. But thank you so much for this information. It's very helpful. Jenny, for putting it in the agenda for us. So thank you. And then also there was a follow-up. This was actually a request from Joel, who had to jump off of the meeting, about the ballot initiatives and the information on that. So that's available. I'm not sure if there's much more to discuss on that besides the fact. Thank you for passing that on. Obviously on the website. And anything from members' choice.
I just want to use this opportunity to highlight my impression with the city's ability to adapt and be creative and the, I'm going to call them social events throughout the city, with the movies on the rooftop at the Civic Center and the pop-up concerts and all of these very innovative ways to bring people out and together and entertained while maintaining social distancing is pretty great. And also for National Night Out, I saw that they're going to be providing barricades and delivering them, which I know those who are hosting will appreciate. And I think people would be more inclined to participate and host when that's happening. So kudos to the city for making all of those things happen.
Definitely second that. I've been to 2 of the drive-ins and they've been such a fun part of summer. So great pivot and creativity. Okay, with that, then I think maybe we can adjourn this quick meeting this evening. Thank you everyone for your time.
Thanks so much. See y'all next month.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
All right, thank you.